You are watching Tactical Enlightenment's Freestyle series, in which we take on different Bannerlord foes in unusual situations or difficult scenarios, and deploy a variety of creative tactics while narrating and doing my best to explain what I'm doing on the fly. Friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. This YouTube channel is dedicated to showing you huge battles in Bannerlord and then giving you the tactical instruction you need to win those huge battles in your own game. And we again are back at Legetta. This city, it seems like, has been under permanent siege. I fought our way through maybe 5 or 6 armies a week ago to get down here in that series titled The Very Long Night. And after that last episode, which we talked about safeguarding your low-level troops, we're going to give this a shot here. Most of our troops are healthy, with the exception probably of some of these lower-level troops that we were trying to get experience. You can see a lot of them are injured, but a lot of them are also upgraded. So we will do some last-minute upgrades here, and then fly into this battle. Now we'll use normal player damage, of course, for a battle like this. This battle should be something that we can pull off without too much difficulty, although obviously it's a very large force of Valandia, and it's probable that we're going to be out in the open like this. This map is suboptimal to face Valandia. I do have these rocks over here on the left, and I think we'll try to use these here. We will try to use these on some level to funnel the enemy through those rocks, through the water, slow them down, compact their cav into a small area, and then shoot them full of fucking Battanian Fianchamp arrows and whatnot. We probably have 50 or 60 Battanian Fianchamps in our army, and then of course we have our elite 6th and 8th. Now I'd like to use this ridge. We're at the very edge of the map here. I can see the map color changing there. We'll stretch the 5th out here, the 4th right next to them, and then we'll have the 7th horse archers with the 8th behind them there under that ridge, right? The idea being here that we could slow down their cavalry as it comes over the hill here, reduce their speed, and once of course they're compacted and their speed is slowed, cavalry becomes a lot easier to deal with, right? We're going to stick 2nd cav here in the hole and 3rd cav up here, anywhere basically where we can clog up the enemy and decrease the amount of speed they have coming towards us. See, it's a huge amount of heavy cav. That was 140 on that wing. I bet they have 140 on the other wing. And these are going to be all elite knights, right? These are all going to be banner knights and the Valandian vanguard. They have a huge line of crossbow. Where'd those knights go? They're already charging in. Well, let's hope these rocks and defensive positions can do their job here. Open fire. Now we're going to join our men here and try to beat off these gigantic cav waves. Look at this wave coming over here. Let's try to slow these guys down. The shield wall here, and I'm basically going to try to meet these cav sort of head on. I'm dragging the 3rd cav. What we want to really do is, well, besides getting speared, we want to give them an alternative target to our archers. We want to keep them off our 8th Corps, keep them off our skirmishers, keep them off our archers. Of course, now it's sort of devolved into them running all over the place, right? We're going to suffer some losses here. This many fucking heavy cav, there's no way you can get through this cleanly. But I look up, the death spam is mostly green. I see them getting kind of hemmed into the rocks here. Not moving. Anytime heavy cav is not moving, they're going to get pounded. Now we are taking arrow shots from their crossbowmen. I can see them there in the background. But they're at the kind of range where they're not going to do a huge amount of damage to our troops. And critically, our archers are over this ridge from them. Probably quite safe. I mean, look at the fire coming through here. And again, now Valandia is totally penned up. They're dead horses. All the different cav that we have in here are units that are in here. Their forces are moving incredibly slow. And they're getting destroyed. All I see is just an army of horses running the other way. Now we're going to try to pull back here, try to get out of the range of their crossbowmen. Oh shit, we're already to the back of the map. But that cav wall was just eviscerated in like, what was that? It was like 40 seconds. We just destroyed them all. So the enemy's spread out there, but you notice those rocks in between there. They're in a big long line. Here's what I'm hoping to do. If I go towards the very back of this map, I'm trying to get these guys all out of here. Some of them are getting kind of stuck on trees and whatnot. We're taking some crossbow bolts in the back. Look at these dipshits are like stuck. But what my idea here is that I have these rocks here. If I can get the enemy to approach us, they will, well, they'll have three choices. They'll have to come at us on one side of these rocks, in which case they'll be kind of compacted, or in an optimal, perfect world, they will keep their same formations as they approach the rock, and then we can split them up into two separate armies and attack one before the other. I think all of the crossbowmen and archers down in that valley down by the water will have very limited line of sight on our troops. Up top here, that'll be the target for us, right? We're already up here, a lot of our archers, we can move forward here, and all of those units down there in the water side, they're basically going to be out of this battle, right? We can have archers up here move aggressively with infantry to sort of pin down their movements. What we're effectively trying to do is stop them from moving up mid-motion, right? They probably want to get close, get their infantry close, and then set up their crossbowmen. Well, if we move quick enough here, I think we can totally prevent their movement. These guys, look at, they're like halfway through. They're charging here like idiots. I think these guys are fucked. We're going to be able to stretch out archers up here and unleash hell. We've opened up fire here. This infantry line is kind of congested. They've only got about a third of their archers actually up here. Very messy situation for them. I mean, this is effectively divide and conquer, right? Whether it's modern era Napoleon or, of course, Julius Caesar. If you can divide your opponent when you're outnumbered in this situation, you can make much better results. Look at this shit. These guys are totally congested. They have no idea where to go. They're trying to form a shield wall, but they're just facing an onslaught from our archers. Again, the main enemy force here is crossbow, and that infantry there, those guys are effectively paralyzed. They don't know what to do. Of course, we're going to bring up infantry and just dissolve this force before they can get set up. They're trying to support with crossbow, but these guys, we might as well build them a graveyard right here because these guys are totally fucked. Their archers and crossbow are down here trying to figure out some way to get line of sight. You know, here's the other advantage of being up there. We're going to be able to cut off their retreat. And the enemy at some point is going to reform, and when they reform, they're going to be reforming right into the crosshairs of our archers and crossbow up here atop this ridge. It looks like they're already starting the reforming process. Either that or the AI is just totally freaked out because they've been essentially outmaneuvered here. All of my archers here, I can just start stretching these guys out, and it's a fucking shooting gallery on all of these crossbowmen trying to get away. Now, they are moving at a good clip. Crossbowmen tend to move fast because they aren't heavily armored, and they are going to get reinforcements here. So we are going to have to, a sort of a continuous challenge. Here comes some heavy cav. But at this stage, they should not have Banner Knights and other elite cav, right? We can face this head-to-head with our small amount of cavalry and our elite 8th Corps. We can at least repel this cav and let our archers go to work. You can hear the crossbowmen firing away, right? Every single one of those guys still has their archers that are trying to reform in their sights, right? You can see the dust from all these terrified crossbowmen, these Valandian crossbowmen, and we just want to prevent these enemy knights from making too big of a dent in our formation here. Now, I am going to pull back here because although this has been a very successful couple of tactical maneuvers here, I'm facing an obvious major disadvantage here tactically. The enemy's spawn point is over there. Ours is way over there, way towards back towards the rocks. There, it means the enemy's getting reinforcements basically right where their troops are, popping up instantly in front of us, and our troops, our reinforcements are going to be several hundred units away. So with a cav unit and a shield wall here, I'm doing my best to order all my units here and also tell you what I'm doing. I've got the 3rd cav and a shield wall here, and all the other troops now begin effectively a controlled retreat here, right? We're controlled movement of our troops back to a better position. One of the advantages I have after playing Bannerlord so much is that I know most of these maps, right? Just like Napoleon before the Battle of Austerlitz, he was very well aware of the terrain advantages on the battlefield. It was basically a battlefield that he had pre-chosen to fight one of the large battles in the Napoleonic War. I know this battlefield well. In fact, I've fought some critical battles right around these rocks here, right? And one of the things these rocks do, of course, besides allowing us a little layer of defense, is it sort of creates a funnel for the enemy, right? They've got that opening there, and then the two sides, I basically can know where the enemy's coming, can limit how much their crossbowmen can shoot us, and we can effectively try to funnel the enemy forces into a situation that's better for our smaller amount of troops. At this stage, of course, we've got much less archers than the enemy. They've got a huge amount of crossbow. Their force is probably almost 500 crossbow, right? So we've got our 150 archers, and even though we have high-quality archers, we still have to tactically use them correctly. Otherwise, we're going to get our asses kicked. So we're down here and hold fire. We're going to hold fire until the enemy at least shows a nice opportunity. We're not going to shoot it like 3 cav. Like, I'm not even sure if it's worth firing here at this 20 or so cav that's coming around the corner. Right, I don't want 800 arrows shot at 20 guys on horses when we can just easily repel them with a counter charge and a line of infantry. Of course, if the enemy sends a lot of cav, then we'll open fire, right? If these guys start wheeling into our... Yeah, that guy's trying to spear me. If these guys start wheeling into our archers and doing major damage, then we'll open fire. Give these guys a couple volleys, limit how much ammunition we spend until the majority of their forces are vulnerable, and just repel the Vlandians as they appear. Then we can hold fire as they're kind of repelled. You'll see me frequently in battles like this kind of go around the edges of the rocks here because I want reconnaissance, right? You need information if you're going to defeat the enemy. You must know what they're doing on some level. Now down here I have the 6th and 1st Infantry, and they are effectively the 2 sides of a vice. If the enemy comes down this little chute, as this guy's trying to get away, let's kill him in front of his mates, just to let them know what they're dealing with here if they come through. If the enemy comes through that chute, it's going to be an absolute butchering, right? It's going to be like the Battle of Thermopylae, where the Spartans forced a much larger force into a small area and allowed the Spartans to use their superiority in troops to kill that force en masse, right? In a situation we can really nullify their advantage of numbers. If I were to go up there directly and just fight toe-to-toe with this 447 crossbowmen, at a minimum, we would take serious losses. Now, more than likely in this situation, the AI is trying to figure out some way to get line of sight on us. Of course, if this was a smart human opponent, what they would do is they would leave 150, maybe 200 crossbowmen towards the top, and then hopefully spread their archers on both sides, flank us, and then right at the moment where we were being flanked by both, charge with infantry, right? That would be the best thing for them to do. But this is one of the disadvantages of having a single crossbow unit. The enemy's not able to do anything dynamic. And incidentally, this is why I recommend you run 6, 7, 8 units on your battlefields. If it gets to a point where there's, battles, custom battles in multiplayer where 2 people can face off 500 against 500, I can assure you that the army with 8 army groups is going to dominate the army with 3 army groups. This is just simply a versatility thing. You see here, so they stick their heads up in the hole there, and we just unload, right? These archers are just hammering away. We've been judicious with our use of ammunition. We've been holding fire. I'm going to actually try to compact them more by bringing the 3rd cav here on this flank, kind of charge in here, cause a little chaos. And what I'm trying to effectively do is herd the enemy into the center there, right? These cav are sort of making them compact their formation. Of course, they're being shot, and now that we've done that, we're going to get these cav out of there and recover them back down here. In this battle, it's critical that you be patient, right? I'm going to hold arrows again. We lost a few cav there, that's fine. But we're effectively waiting for the enemy to attack us. They're down to 380 crossbowmen, right? They've lost 60 so far. I've got the perfect vantage point from right here. In fact, I bet Napoleon wins the Battle of Waterloo if he's got this kind of line of sight, right? If he could just stand there and have this camera floating 12 feet above his head, right? Like, information is vital to winning war. That's why Sun Tzu says deception, all warfare is deception, right? If the enemy can't deceive you, if the enemy can't really confuse you or use tactics that you're not aware of, you should be able to win, right? That's one of the keys. Of course, if you're massively outnumbered, it doesn't matter. But in most battles of fairly even troops, if you have good information, if you have a good plan, a good backup plan, you should be able to crush the enemy. I'm moving my units in here into a tighter mass because they're sort of shooting at us around the edges there. And I think we'll open fire too. All those guys are within line of sight of our archers, and we have at least comparable archers at this stage of the battle. I see the green death spam lighting up, right? We still got probably 20% ammo on these archers. We're doing major damage, and this is definitely a good trade-off for us. I can hear the arrows whizzing up there. It's just a huge green spam. And the enemy, it looks like they're compacting again. Now, I don't think they're going to charge through here because they have almost all crossbow. You see they have 340 units of crossbow and 33 infantrymen, right? They're not really set up to come down here. Now, if that was 340 infantry, this would actually be a worse slaughter because they would have to come through this gap to attack us. It would actually be much worse for them. They keep thinking about it. They send infantry down, and it's just like, here, I've got something for you guys to catch. Have a few thousand arrows in the face. I mean, they look like crash test dummies up there just getting spun around like bad B-level actors at a movie shoot. Okay, so the enemy does seem like they're trying to pour around the edges here. We will meet them with the first corps down here. That's just fine for us. If they want to send this pitiful infantry wave, we will apply the pressure necessary to annihilate these guys. Every single one of these guys is getting 5 arrows in the face. They really don't have any chance. In fact, the Jarl can do most of the killing here. Oh shit, this guy's sneaking up behind me. But the archers just eviscerated him. Okay, so it does look like they got reinforcements. Now it says 479 crossbowmen, so the number actually went up a lot. That's most likely because they just had a bunch of reinforcements come in. We've got more volunteers to be destroyed in today's episode. And it also looks like they're resetting their formation. The number at the bottom there is the distance between troops. Of course, most people know that already. I just mentioned that from time to time in case not everybody's aware of it. But they are resetting, and that means there's going to be a little bit of a break here before these guys can drink some alcohol, drink a few shots or whatever, get hyped up by their commander, and take another death run at our position here. Let's steal a horse. And as you've seen me do multiple times in this battle, we can do a little bit of reconnaissance here. You see me trying to straighten out my lines. I want to keep this vice in place. When you have a strategy that's working, don't change it, right? The enemy's dumb enough to keep approaching us here. In fact, look at how thickly packed they are. That bodes very well for this. I mean, it's a massive amount of troops. But again, if they come through our slaughter chamber, the results are going to be predictable. Now, at some point, we're going to have to charge, simply because we're going to run out of ammunition. We're going to have some sort of flanking maneuver, some sort of dynamic maneuver. But while we hold this position, while we have ammunition, there's no reason for us to do anything except just wait. Patience is a virtue. I suppose that applies to situations like this. Right now, if the enemy doesn't attack at all, we will definitely figure out some kind of maneuver where we can attack the enemy, right? I'm not going to have you sleeping on the other side of this watching on YouTube. But I think it's highly probable, especially since they just got a huge reinforcement load, that they're going to try some sort of another attack on us. It might be a bum rush, or they might stretch out crossbow on one of the two sides. Now, you as the commander in a situation like this, just like I'm doing right now, you want to come up with contingency plans, right? I do have a small amount of cavalry. If they do start spreading out, say over here on this right side, my plan is immediately to rush those guys with the 8th, 3rd, and 7th Corps and then move up infantry, right? What we want to do, of course, is stall them, slow them down, and limit how much their crossbowmen can spread out before we get our infantry up to bear on them. They're definitely getting excited thinking about a charge here, and with our defensive position, we welcome a charge. It's probably going to be messy. We will suffer some losses there, but we have the line of sight. We're holding the defensive position. We want very much for these middle upper tier troops to attack. Now, ironically, I do want some losses when they attack us here. There is a threshold in the game at which point you get reinforcements. We're not there yet. You have to have something like 40% of your force killed, then you get fresh reinforcements. Here they come. They're starting to come up. Just open fire. If we can get those fresh reinforcements as we're charging them, that'll be optimal because we'll be able to quickly get those reinforcements into the battle. More than likely, though, we're going to end up countercharging the enemy here before we get those reinforcements, and the forces that are attacking the enemy will be highly outnumbered. We're talking 6 or 7 to 1. Getting speared here. My health is starting to become an issue. I do have the RTS mod loaded, right? So if I do get dropped, we'll be able to continue this battle now. Okay, so they're sending cav on all three sides here. This is where we clamp down the vice, right? Our infantry flies in here, our 8th Corps and our cav division flies in, and it just bottles these guys up for the slaughter. I still see arrows flying in here, butchering these guys. They're basically stuck, they're trapped. This is like the Union forces at the Battle of the Crater, where they were just jammed in by each other and nobody could move. Just absolute fish in a barrel. Trying not to let too many of these cabs surround our archers here. Okay, now it's time to take very aggressive, quick movement, right? We're going to bring our infantry up, our 8th Corps, and our skirmishers immediately to confront these crossbowmen. You can hear our shields being hit, right? That means these guys are starting to fire, but look how close they are. They're right basically next to our infantry. So our infantry takes 4 or 5 steps, holds up their shield, and they should be bearing down on these forces. As I mentioned before, this is where we want to get our cav in here, right? We're going to drag our 8th Corps, we're going to drag our 3rd cav, and we're going to get these guys in here on the enemy as quick as we can. Because archers or crossbowmen with horse rampaging through them tend to do exactly what they're doing right now, and that is flee to a safe position. In fact, I just trapped myself. There's so many of the enemy troops here, I literally can't fucking move. I need some help. I called the 8th Corps to me, and I was able to fight my way through there. That was almost an instant death, though. You see, they're trying to spread out here, but I've got the 8th Corps following me. We're causing major carnage. These guys are knocking down or killing every other guy. And our rest of our forces at this stage are charging. If the enemy fights this out toe-to-toe, we are going to suffer a lot of losses because they have so many crossbow here. But I don't think they're going to, right? These lightly armored crossbowmen don't want to see our units face-to-face. You can see our 8th Corps in there fighting. We have a lot of our Battanian Fiend champs that are down probably to half health and out of arrows. Those guys are charging. And not surprisingly here, the enemy's reforming to try to get some distance on us. Now comes the hard part of this battle, right? Now we're either low or out of ammunition, so I can't even tell my guys just to sit back and shoot at them. And so I'm going to have to figure out some kind of tactic here that doesn't involve our forces being annihilated. I don't think anymore at this stage that this battle is at any threat of a loss. Here come their reinforcement infantry. I think at this stage this battle is over, but I don't want to lose a huge amount of troops here at the very end of this battle. Now, I don't have many shield walls left, but whatever shield walls I do have, I'm going to bring them forward. I have a handful of crossbow that are still left in the 4th Corps, the 1st and 6th Corps. Those guys have shields, and then the rest of my units I'm going to bring up. Look at this ridge. It just so happens that the enemy's retreating right over the edge of this ridge. I don't think they could shoot over there. It's like their rally point. Their commander must be an idiot because they're rallying to a point where they're not going to be able to help. So their heavy cav is charging. We're going to counterattack this heavy cav. But I think their crossbowmen, if they go over that ridge, are not going to be able to help here. They're effectively removing themselves from the battle. Look at that guy. All those guys down there, they can't help at all. We're going to just massacre this horse charge and then deal with the rest of the enemy here. This is just a tactical mistake. It's an example where the AI doesn't quite understand line of sight. And a human opponent could make this mistake too, right? You have to have a very good eye for the battlefield to understand the angles on it, right? Napoleon was a master at seeing sort of the angles of war. Of course, he started as an artilleryman, right? He knew all about angles and math and trajectory of ammunition here, right? So they actually had their infantry blocking their crossbowmen. So you see that big massive crossbow? We're going to try to turn their flank. I'm bringing archers over here, the 5th Corps, which is a lot of Battanian Fiend champs, other elite archers, and we're going to cut off these guys before they can really spread out. Now they're moving faster than my guys. It always seems like in battles like this, our units start to get tired. I need to get them in here as soon as they can before they can really spread out. And they're going to start shooting. Here they just started shooting. And we're going to suffer some losses, but our infantrymen are just boring into this formation. And again, it does look like they're not thrilled about that. There's a lot of death span. The enemy's getting smoked on the enemy's right flank, our left flank. It's Battanian Fiend champs just fucking frothing at the mouth, pouring in with their two-handed weapons. The enemy's getting yet another reinforcement wave, right? They're dying so quickly here. It's almost like a permanent reinforcement wave. But again, now at this stage, we're in a death charge. I still don't see reinforcements coming. The enemy has a huge line of crossbows spread out here. But I got to keep on attacking until this reinforcement waves come. We're going to suffer some losses here. but it's a lot better than trying to run. If we ran, not only would their infantry attack, but their crossbowmen would be shooting us for a long time before we were safe and out of range. Better to get our licks in here, and I'll join my men on the ground here just to fucking increase their morale. You'll hear me say that a lot. I don't actually think this does increase their morale, other than the fact that I'm killing guys. It would be a nice feature for the game if fighting on foot increased their morale significantly, because that was very much a real thing. When like a George Washington or any of the other generals appeared on the front lines, obviously this was tremendously impactful for the troops. So we're suffering significant losses here. Okay, I just got reinforcements, so I'm going to pull back here and try to manage these. I've got no choice but to continue to let these troops sort of bore in on the enemy. We are suffering losses. I'm glancing up at the upper right, and there is quite a bit of red. I'm losing a companion every other second. But this battle is won already, and now we're just going to put the finishing touches on it, right? I'm going to bring up these reinforcements, bring them up in a big long line. The archers can unleash hell, and we'll have another strong, fresh infantry line that can just tear through these troops. These guys are down here trying to pick up bolts while I cut them in half. I've got myself a nice big barn door here to defend myself. We're still getting kills. You see our troops rampaging still. Those guys are probably all going to get dropped. They're on the other side of this ridge. There's 500 enemy troops. There's a huge amount of crossbows still. We're going to bring these archers and crossbow up around the side of the enemy here so they have good line of sight. This little dip over here, this is a nice spot for them to shoot. It's another example, again, if you want to use the landscape to your favor. The enemy's stretching out far to our right, or our left, rather. Actually, that looks like a route. I can't tell. A lot of times when they route, it says the enemy's fleeing. I can't tell what's happening here. It looks like they're indecisive. Some of them are pulling out their crossbow and trying to shoot. Some guys are definitely fighting back. But I think this has been enough for the Valandians here. Of course, we've killed a huge amount of their troops as well. Anyways, just to show the rest of the tactical maneuvering here, we are going to bring these archers up here on the left flank, and obviously any of the troops that were in the center there are going to be absolutely smoked if this battle continued. It's kind of continuing, but I think the enemy is like only half-heartedly fighting here. I think most of these guys are fucking out of here. You see a few of them swinging their swords, but most of them are appropriately running back to their hovels. Yeah, this is an odd finish. Some of my guys are shooting, other guys are cheering. It's kind of a strange finish to a battle, but nevertheless, another very successful battle here at a time we needed it the most in our campaign, right? Our frontier remains under attack. Okay, so we put down 2,000 of their troops, and we lost, 235, 37 deaths. These are very acceptable numbers for a big battle like this. Now the campaign continues, and I've got to get back to our homeland as we've got a castle and a city both under siege. Of course, it's permanently like that in this campaign. It's very, very difficult, but that's precisely how I want it. So stay tuned for more. I appreciate you for watching, friends, and I will see you guys next time.